Today we're going to be doing a video on solving quadratics when it's not equal to 0. In order for you to be able to solve any quadratic, it must be in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, which means we need it to be equal to 0. So first thing we need to look is this first equation right here, r squared plus 2r equals 24. We need to somehow get this 24 into a 0. And the way we're going to do that is by subtracting 24 from both sides. Now when we do that, we need to make, 24 now becomes 0 as we want it to be. And we want to make sure that we bring down the rest in standard form. R squared plus 2r minus 24. Now that it's equal to 0, now we're ready to start factoring. We want to think of factors of negative 24 that will add up to a positive 2. So first thing we're going to do is split up our r values. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to think of our factors of 24. In this case, we're going to be using 6 and 4. And in order for us to get a positive 2, it must be a positive 6 and a negative 4. But remember, it's not just factoring. We actually need to do some solving. So we're going to set each piece equal to 0. R plus 6 equals to 0. R minus 4 equals to 0. Subtract 6. Subtract 6. R equals negative 6. Add 4. Add 4. R is equal to 4. So not only do we have one answer for r, we have two answers for r. Okay. Let's try a second example. M squared minus 2m equals 8. Once again, we need to make sure that we are setting it equal to 0. So we're going to start by subtracting 8 from both sides. We're going to rewrite this in standard form. M squared minus 2m minus 8 is equal to 0. Since our a value is 1, we're ready to just start factoring. We're going to start by factoring that m squared and making that into m times m. And we need to think of the factors of 8 that would possibly be equal to 2. So we're going to use the factors 4 and 2. And because it is a negative 2, there would be a negative 4 and a positive 2. And we're going to equal that to 0. Now once we have it factored, we're going to take each term and set it equal to 0. M minus 4 equals 0. M plus 2 equals 0. And solve. In this case, m would be 4. If I solve that, m would be negative 2. And that would be your two answers. So the key here is just to make sure that you are setting it equal to 0 before you begin. Now we're going to do 1/3 example. And this time, as you can see, the m term is on the wrong side of the equation. So we're going to add 10m to both sides, so that we can make that one side equal to 0. We're going to rewrite it in standard form. M squared plus 10m plus 16. Now we're going to factor completely. M times m is m squared. What two numbers multiply to 16 that add up to 10? In this case, it would be a positive 8 and a positive 2. Now that I have my binomials, now I'm going to take them and set them each equal to 0 and solve. So this is taking factoring to the next level where we're actually solving for the variable. M plus 8 equals 0. M plus 2 equals 0. So m equals -8, m equals -2. What you need to remember here is that before you can begin solving for a quadratic equation, you must set it equal to 0. And you always want to make sure that your leading m squared value is positive.